What is meant by Internet of Things? If you're observing this particular figure where variety of devices are connected directly to the backbone network as the internet. Internet is nothing but it's an abbreviated form of internetworking. And with the help of internet, the devices can able to share the information from one location to the other location. The thing can be any device which is a smart one. It can receive the data from the sensor, process it, and upload the data onto the internet or onto the cloud. There are various companies define what is meant by IoT. So if I'm talking about the very first definition, European Commission, it states that from a network of interconnected computers to a network of interconnected objects. So initially, if you're talking about the computer networks where computers are connected to each other through internet and can able to communicate with each other or sharing the data to each other in the same way, it is a network of interconnected computers to we are expanding to it's the interconnected objects. Any objects can be able to communicate the information with each other via internet. This is one of the definition given by the European Commission. Now the next definition is given by Atto ID Lab. It states that the basic idea of the IoT is that virtually every physical thing in this world can also become a computer and that is connected to the internet. Yes. So what is the meaning of this particular statement? Any device, if it is responsible for sending and receiving the data onto the internet and will be considered as a computer or any computational device. The computing power might be different, depends on the size of the device, but that small device will be considered as a computer. The third definition given by the Cisco system, which is a renowned name in the field of networking. It states that IoT is simply the point in time when more things or objects were connected to the internet than the people. So traditionally, every individual will be having their computers, their laptops, their mobile phones connected to the internet. But nowadays the scenario is totally different. We are having varieties of smart gadgets coming in a market, and every individual will be having more than 5 to 6 devices with them. So all these devices, all these things, if they are connected to the network which is more than the population, if I am considering the 100 crores the population of the globe, so multiplied by 5 to 6 individual devices, so the huge amount, and that will be considered as an IoT network. And the definition given by the Tata Consultancy Services, a worldwide network of interconnected objects uniquely addressable. Now here the name or the term coming as a uniquely addressable. So every, just like a human can be identified by our names, in the same way the devices can be identified by a unique IP addressing scheme. So in the same way the IoT objects are identified by their unique IP addresses. So that can be based on the standard communication protocol. If I am talking about any specific application, take an example of VoIP, that is voice over internet protocol, where latency is more important than the integrity. So whenever I'm talking about the latency, whatever the data that is captured by the high definition cameras, those needs to be broadcasted at a very faster rate. And once it is broadcasted at the receiver side, it should be reproduced as fast as possible. So they need to use a certain specific protocol. So if I am talking about the UDP, that is a user datagram protocol. The user datagram protocol is capable of sending and receiving the data at a very faster rate. So we didn't receive any kind of acknowledgement. Just like your SCTP also, stream control transmission protocol. It's a combination of TCP and UDP. TCPs will be considered as an connection oriented protocol, where UDP will be considered as the connectionless protocol. So depends on the application, we can choose any kind of protocol, but your IoT device should have a unique kind of IP addressing. So these are the some of the definitions given by the different companies. There are various pillars are there. So for IoT, the very first and very important, the communication. Your IoT device should be capable of communicating with different devices. So communication is the primary functionality of your IoT. Without communication, the devices would not be able to share the data. So that is a preliminary thing for all the IoT devices. The second most important part or the pillar of IoT technology is the processing. Not only the devices can communicate with each other, but also they needs to have some kind of computational power, so that whatever the data received from the sensors, those can be processed and very informative, that is a extractive value or information can be taken out from the raw data coming from the sensor. The third one will be considered as an identification. So this identification pillar will be related to the name provided or the addressing provided to the IoT devices. So every IoT device should have a identification name that might be an unique IP addressing. Next one, the localization. Each device can be localized with the help of different sensors. So just like a GPS sensor will be capable of localizing the device, finding out the actual position of the device. And finally, the fifth pillar is related to the storage. If the IoT platform is going to process your information coming from the sensors, there should have the onboard storage facility. So once it is stored at any instant of time, the data can be broadcasted onto the cloud. And meanwhile, all the five pillars will be parallelly providing the security. All these functionalities along with the securities plays a very vital role in internet. And finally, we can have the bottommost layer will be considered as your sensors. So without sensors, IoT will not be possible. Sensor will be capable of measuring the physical parameters of the environment, and those information will be communicating to the your IoT development board or embedded device board.